Are you curious about brain hacks that can shape your success? In this riveting podcast episode of the Think and Grow Rich series, Louise Swartswalter answers this question and shares her life-changing encounter with the Think and Grow Rich book in her teenage years and how this has impacted her journey. You're in for a treat.
Would you like to think and grow rich? If so, keep on listening. This podcast is dedicated to those who have found their way from fear to freedom and for those who are considering undertaking this amazing journey. This is the Courage to Be podcast, and I am your host, Tanya Vasallo. Before we get into this episode, I'm thrilled to share that I'm hosting a series on how people's lives have been influenced by the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you'd like to learn and apply how to think and grow rich, go to the show notes to get some wonderful free resources and join the Courage to Be community. I look forward to being your guide and mentor so you can transform your life. Welcome back to the Courage to Be, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. And we are continuing with the Think and Grow Rich series. Today we have Louise Swartswalter with us. Welcome, Louise.
Oh, it's so great to be with you, Tanya. Thank you so much for having me.
I am excited because we go back a while. We've known each other for years. And when I heard that your life had been transformed and influenced by the book Think and Grow Rich, where you had mentioned to me that you had read this book in your teenage years. Please share about this, because I can only imagine what kind of impact a book like this can have on a teenager. Like, what did that do for you? And how did you come about it?
You know, when you had posted that and said you were looking for people who had read that book, I'm like, well, I read that book. I have that book somewhere. So I had to go find it, Tanya. So this is my dad's old copy. Okay. So my dad gave me this book and introduced this to me when I was a teenager. And he was an avid reader, and I love to read too. And I was just so enthralled with this. I was like, okay, my mindset can change my world. You know, PMA, if I think positive, I can change things in my life. I started writing goals for myself. It was pretty transformational. And I have to tell you, when I dug the book out, I found all these old notes and things that I wrote. So, I mean, I have little cards and stuff. It was just a trip.
So, please read some of those. What have you found?
So I said, keep your mind on the things you want and off the things you don't want. And what kind of came up for me as I was finding this again and diving into this is, this book is sitting on the shelf with I don't know how many other books, right? For years and years and years. So I haven't picked it up recently until you mentioned you were doing this podcast series. And I was like, wow, I'm teaching this now. I do this brain work with people. This is what we're doing as coaches. And I do a lot of mindset work, and I do more than that. But I was just, and then it says PMA. You can do it if you can believe it.
That is awesome. Share with us what PMA stands for, in case the listener, it's the positive. You want to share with us?
Positive mental attitude. So it means positive mental attitude. And he also talks a lot about goal setting. Says the test of your faith is whether you apply it, even at your time of greatest need.
What do you get out of that particular note when you're seeing that?
So, usually when we're down or we're having a struggle in our life, that's when we turn to your faith, whatever that is, God, Jesus, Buddha, whatever your faith is. But the test of it, meaning your really strong connection to that higher power, is most tested when you're in most need. Do you really believe and have faith and trust that you're going to overcome whatever that is you need to overcome, right? I think that's what that meant. Yeah. So there's some gold in here. It's just nuggets of gold. Yes.
It is. And how old were you when you read that? Do you remember? Were you in your early teens, later teens?
Probably 15 or 16.
That is amazing. And that was because your dad introduced you to it, or?
Yes. So my dad had this book and gave me this book, and I still have it. What's really interesting, Tanya, is he struggled though. When I really look back, okay, he tried to have a positive mental attitude, but he struggled with that and had kind of a poverty mindset. I've had to overcome all that to have such a successful business now.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what kind of work you do. What's your business and how you've applied those principles, and how have you overcome these obstacles? Like how did you go through that? And maybe you have some stories to share with us of how you did it.
Yeah, I have lots of stories. My first story of how I even got in this whole world of coaching and natural health. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I'm a biofeedback therapist. I've been doing that for over 20 years. So I was one of the first sort of biofeedback frequency medicine people out there. And how I even got on that path was I got super sick after my son was born. So my second child. And I was doctor hopping and I was in the medical world looking for answers, and no one could help me. I mean, I ended up really, really sick after I had a dentist who said, "Hey, let's take out all your mercury fillings. They're creating a car battery in your mouth." And he convinced me to do it in one day. So I was like, let's just get it over with. I was already having fatigue. I was already way too sick to have that done all in one day. So it just put a lot of heavy metals in my body and I crashed. I was on oxygen for 3 years. I mean, I had no front teeth for 3 months. He had taken a bridge out. I had had a car accident as a kid and I had a post with a tooth here. And he took that out and tried to make another bridge there and it kept cracking in my mouth. I mean, it's an awful story. It's really just awful.
I'm so curious about that because you do hear a lot, or at least I've heard, that the silver fillings are not good, that you should get them out of your system, especially if you have like heavy metals, in your system, like it could be creating toxicity in your system.
Yes.
Did this particular dentist take it out in the right way? Because isn't there a right way of doing this?
Yes, he did. He used, well, not like it is today. So this is like 1993. He did have knowledge. He did, have all the books from Sweden and how they did stuff in Sweden on this. He did give me all of that to read about the toxicity of mercury. He did use a rubber dam and all that stuff, but it wasn't like, intravenous IV. He gave me homeopathics for mercury after that. But I mean, I had 14 fillings. My mom had really bad teeth. And so I just had 14 mercury fillings and he took them out in one day and I was already sick. What you're supposed to do is do one quadrant at a time or one tooth at a time, wherever you're having a problem. Right. And so there's a right way to do it. And then today, biological dentists know how to work with that. So I ended up with a lot of mercury in my body. And then your kidney and liver are working really hard to detox that. So long story short, I ended up in a sauna program in South Carolina, sweating heavy metals and chemicals and things out of my body. Okay. So it was a medical doctor sauna program, 5 weeks, found grandmas to be with my kids while I went and did this. And I would say it probably saved my life. And I have a sauna in my garage now, and I do a sauna a week at least. So
I'm so curious about this. Do you use the infrared saunas or the regular? Because I love the regular sauna. It's so much hotter than the infrared.
I like the regular too. So I have a regular sauna. It's not infrared. I love to sweat. So if I'm not heavy exercising, then I am in the sauna, and I think sweating is really good. Anyway, it was a long story. It took me 16 years to heal. Okay. And it's how I even created my system. So I was on this journey of really healing my body. And so I started there, just like we all do. We start with our body. We're like, we eat right, then we eat organic food, we take our supplements. I went to chiropractors, I had help, but that wasn't enough. It felt like I still wasn't me. So I kept seeking, Tanya. I said, what else do I need to do? And then I started the Grateful Journal. Then I started working on not just my spiritual connection, but also my mental, emotional. And I started clearing emotions. And I took tons of energy work classes and all kinds of courses. Then I found my biofeedback device at the same time I was in naturopathic school. And so I started my business really in my house. And then I moved to one office, then I bought an office and I was there. So I was a practitioner here in Albuquerque for over 20 years. Did a lot of speaking here, had amazing people, a lot of families I work with, love them all. Many of them are still connected to me and I still see some people locally, but mostly I'm online now. And I started Brain Soul Success from this journey because I tried to get my own brain power back. I lost it. I couldn't remember. I was in my 30s and I didn't have a memory. I couldn't remember phone numbers. I couldn't remember things. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I can't have Alzheimer's in my 30s. I've got to do something about this. So that's the journey of how I really started working with the brain and then connected it to the soul, because what I saw was if people weren't feeling like 100% their soul's truth, their authentic self, and they still had baggage from the past, old childhood wounds, ancestral trauma, it inhibited their success. And I still see that with some of the CEOs and professionals that I work with and business owners. They reach a plateau and they can't get any further. They want to make more money or increase their reach or whatever it is. And they can't get there because they're stuck. That stuckness means there's childhood trauma or ancestral wounds too that we have to clear.
That is amazing. Talk to us a little bit about this Brain Soul Success, your program, because I'm very curious about it. What is it about? How did you put it together? Obviously, you put it together with all the knowledge that you acquired throughout specialized knowledge. That's another one of the principles from Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. It's just like utilizing going out there and getting specialized knowledge. So I'm very curious to hear about this program, Louise.
Yeah, so here's what ended up happening. I realized it was more than body. So I started seeing all the things that I did on myself as well as what I would use with my clients. And it became a system. So even trademarked the system. So we call it the brain system. And brain's actually an acronym. I can actually show a visual. Do you want me to show a visual? If we can I share my screen?
We'll show it. And for those that are listening to the podcast, you can always hop over to YouTube to see the screen. And if not, Louise will explain it as we're going through it.
Yeah, I'll explain it as we go through it. It's just a great visual, but you'll have to give me permission to. There we go. Got it. All right, let me find it here. So what I designed or what I came together was a 5-part system that really works on the whole body, mind, spirit at the same time. And what I found is you have to do it simultaneously. Otherwise, you're like reaching for so many things. So here's the system. So it's really 5 parts. And so B is body. So if you're listening to this, you'll see the visual if you're on YouTube, but if you're listening on the podcast, B equals body. And that's all the pieces that you know as far as like lifestyle, right? That's taking care of your body, getting good sleep, exercise, taking your supplements, good quality pharmaceutical grade supplements, eating healthy, all of that. Okay, so most of you know that, or at least you've heard about different ways of really upping the level of that for yourself, optimizing your brain through taking care of your body. Then there's releasing. So R is release. We want to release the mental chatter and the emotional baggage. And that gets stuck in the spaces of your brain. So trauma and emotions get stuck in the space of your brain. Your brain is a spiritual organ as well as a physical organ. And I'll explain more about that. And then align with spirit. So A is align. It's aligning spiritually to raise your frequency and attract the success and prosperity that you desire. And then I is integrate. We integrate your brain frequencies to your soul's true purpose. So what I have found, Tanya, is when people don't have a purpose, it's harder to achieve their goals or heal their life. Yeah.
I can imagine that it's, there's that series on Netflix. I think it's called The Blue Zones of how to live until age 100 or longer. Have you seen this show on Netflix?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard of it. And it's all these steps, isn't it?
Well, it's not that it's only those steps. Like one of the things that stood out for me of the centenarians that they interviewed, all over the world, Okinawa, Costa Rica, like all the different blue zones. And the blue zones are the areas of the world where we have the most centenarians. And so one of the things that stood out, because you would think that the first thing is like your health, you just have to eat really healthy and exercise. And yes, that's an important component, like you're saying. But one of the other things that they talked about is having a purpose. If we don't have a purpose in life, it's like you're dying. You don't feel like you're useful. You're not giving back to the human race. You're not contributing. So I appreciate you sharing this about finding our soul's true purpose, Louise. I think this is a very important component, not just focusing on our health, on eating well, and, doing the exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I have found too, people with health issues, if they don't have a purpose, it's harder to heal.
Wow.
Okay. And I've also seen over the years, people with cancer. Cancer is an identity crisis disease. It's about this soul's purpose again. It's a transition in their lives about, what do I want to do? Or what really gets me excited? Okay. And then N is the new program. And this is really cool. So this is some energy work that I do that actually reboots and rewires your brain and your energetic field with like a new your brain is like a computer. And so this is like a software upgrade, giving you a new program, and it's your goals or your intentions of what you want to create. So when you do all those 5 steps together, that's when you can create like the biggest leap forward. Otherwise, people continue to struggle. So when you do, this was me, I'll show you a picture. So if you're on the podcast, you'll have to jump over to YouTube. I was really sick, you guys. I mean, I was on oxygen. I had 2 little kids at home. All I wanted to do was be their mom. And so it was a journey. So from this journey came this system, right? So we all have a story. Now I'm changing 2 million brains by 2025. And when we use the brain system, this is what happens. So this is a picture of Lana. And the first picture is she's in a lot of grief and sorrow here, lost her husband. And this is about 3 months later. And she said to me, she said, you know what, Louise? She said, I don't have that sorrow in my eyes anymore. My eyes are completely different. I feel different. And you can see here the picture. Then she was so excited. She said, and I am learning to sail.
That is wonderful.
You
It's amazing what we can do when we focus on our mind and our brain. Like what you're doing, Louise, is fantastic. We need this type of education and training for everyone, for the human race, for all of us, of just being able to live at our fullest potential. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's what I see people who are stuck, a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, CEOs of companies, and they've reached a plateau, or they know that they have to do the inner work to reflect in the outer work. And that also has come like in a way full circle. When you brought this up, Tanya, that you were doing this series on Think and Grow Rich in this book, and I pulled it out again, I realized that I had started this journey way back when, like as a teenager, and it brought full circle for me. And so I just want to also kind of say to the audience here, look and see what you did when you were younger, and look at all the things that have happened in your life and how they have all culminated to what you're doing now.
That is amazing. Thank you for that reflection, and how amazing that you have that awareness. We're going to take a little moment for a pause because I want to share some things that are coming up related to the book Think and Grow Rich that you might be interested as a listener. And we will continue with Louise's interview. Are you looking to create more abundance in your life? If so, come and join us at the Napoleon Hill Institute Prosperity Summit. It's taking place this week through December 1st at 9 a.m. Pacific and 12 p.m. Eastern. There's some amazing guest speakers like the stars from the movie The Secret, Joe Vitale, Michael Beckwith. We have Mark Victor Hansen, the co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, amongst many other visionaries. The teachers will guide you on a path to riches, both material and spiritual, based off of what they've applied from Napoleon Hill and Reverend Ike's principles. Make sure to get yourself registered so that you can get access to the recordings for a limited time. I look forward to seeing you there. So Louise, this is fascinating to me of how you've taken the principles that you read, whatever decades before you even knew that you were going to do this work. And you've brought it all into the health arena, into the brain arena, because that was your journey. How does thinking and growing rich, because a lot of people think it's just money. And to me, richness is not just about money. How does our health and being rich in health relate to the principles and what you might have learned initially? How do we, I mean, to me, it's so important. Like it's almost, health is almost more important than money, you know, and abundance.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we were $84,000 in credit card debt. I had 2 little kids at home. Money didn't matter, right? If you're not living and all I wanted to do is be their mom, if you're not able to be healthy, have a healthy brain, accomplish the things you want, have energy during the, have energy in your day, get good sleep, you can't do anything else. So really your health is the most important thing, but health is not just one thing. It's not just exercise. It's not just the things you learn about lifestyle. It's also being healthy in your mind and spirit, right? Your soul, all of the pieces. It's really the system. It's the brain system. That's true health and wealth. Wealth is not money. Wealth is your health, right? You've heard that little phrase before, but it is also all of the pieces. You want to feel wealthy in mind, body, spirit. There's a connection. We can't take us apart.
Absolutely. And I think that's so important for all of us to be aware, all the listeners. This series, again, it's not about think and grow rich and just money monetarily, which is great. If you can learn to master that, money does touch everything in this world. So you do need money. But I'd say, like you're saying, Louise, that health is our first place that we want to start at. And I wanted to ask you, going back to positive mental attitude, PMA, that you started, when you first read that. And do you feel that you've carried PMA, positive mental attitude, throughout your career because you read the book? And how did that influence you? Do you have any stories of how that applied for you, or going the extra mile, or where you could have had a negative mental attitude with someone or something, but decided to still go the other route?
Yeah, I think we all have a shadow voice. So that the negative voice is going to come in. And so I always talk about fear and faith. So I'm holding up a pen. At the top of the pen, here's faith and here's fear. And you actually cannot be in a little bit of faith and a little bit of fear. You can't be halfway. You're either in faith or in fear. So you're going to have a negative mindset or a negative thought. The difference is, how long do you stay down there and how fast do you get to a positive thought, right? So it's a practice. It's literally a practice. So I had the gift of practicing as a teenager. Okay. In high school, I played volleyball, and I had a wonderful volleyball coach who, our very first volleyball practice, instead of taking us on the court, she took us in a classroom. And I'm like, what do we weren't happy. The whole team was just like, we want to go play volleyball. We want to be on the court. And she was teaching us positive mental attitude. She was teaching us how to write goals and how to be in a positive mindset, which of course, we know every athlete, if you're going to be an Olympic athlete, you're practicing that good psychology, right? So we had our first meeting in a classroom. So there were so many themes throughout my life that just sort of led to, of course, where I am now. So, I do affirmations, I write my goals, I teach my people to do that. We stay in a more positive mental mindset. Doesn't mean you're not going to have a bad day, but it's what tools do you have? So now I teach brain hacks for success. What tools do you have to turn that around and get yourself back balanced, so you can have a great day and create what you want to create in your business?
This is fabulous. What are some of those brain hacks? Because I was going to ask you, how do you bring yourself, like you said, we can't always be in this positive, happy, flowy, everything's the color, of rainbows and stuff. But how do we bring ourselves back from those negative emotions or from those fears? Or what kind of tools are you using, Louise, that you could give our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the very simple tools is something called Mind Gems. And Mind Gems was given to me by my teacher. And there are 12 little exercises that balance the brain. And they literally take about 4 minutes to do. So I do them every morning and every night and teach people to do the same. So one of them is just releasing shock and anxiety. So we would cone our fingers, meaning you're making a little wand. You're putting your thumb with your fingers together, making little points. And you put your right hand on your left side of your thymus gland, which is this bump underneath the notch in your neck. The thymus gland is the seat of the soul. It's also an immune system gland, and it's like a bone right here. And on either side, you're crossing. So you're crossing over. You're right on your left on your right. And this clears shock and anxiety. So if you just take a moment and you breathe and you put your fingers in this position and you do that for 12 seconds. And then you switch. You'll be able to relax a little bit and calm down. It's like takes it a step further than what you and I have heard before. Many people have count to 10. You've heard count to 10 and give yourself a break or give yourself like a time to sort of shift the energy. So this is actually, right on the body. There's another one over the top of the head that clears trauma. And so your right hand's over the left and the left on the right, and I'm over the top of my head or over that soft spot in the middle of your head. And again, you hold it for 12 seconds and then you switch. So we're clearing shock and anxiety and any little traumas that get stuck.
That is fabulous. And you do these, how many did you say? 12
There's
gems
12.
that you have?
Yeah, there's
And
12 and they're
seconds.
called mind gems, and you can put the link in the show notes, Tanya. But it is just such a great little exercise. And I get such great feedback. And I say, do them for 21 days and you'll notice a difference in your life. You'll feel more focused, more balanced. People will sometimes sleep better. Everyone's different because in a sense, it's energy. We're working on the body, but it's energetic. And your energy field. So another one of the brain hacks that I teach looks kind of funny. I'd love to do a little demo with you maybe, but it's circles, it's codes, it's numbers, because numbers is the universal language.
Oh, I love numbers, Louise.
So do you?
Yes, talk to us more about it. Like when we're seeing the sequences of 1111, 333, 444, 555, like there was a while that I was seeing it so much that I had to just take photos of it because every time I'd look at the phone, and it's not like I look at the phone for the time every single minute of the day, but every time I'd look, it was a double digit or it was numbers. And so I'm so curious about numerology and how these numbers and the codes work.
Yeah, so numbers, yes, they're very, very powerful. So numbers is the universal language, so it speaks to your energetic field. So first we would clear like blocks, like soul blocks and any kind of energy blocks, and we would write goals. Do you want to do it? Do we have time to do it?
Sure. How long does it take?
I don't know, about 10 or 15, maybe 15 minutes.
Sure, we can do it. And is it something that the listeners could do too as I'm...
Well, what's going to happen is they're going to feel different at the end, just like you will.
So let's go for it.
All right, let's go for it. Okay, let's do it. Grabbing some paper here. So it's really based on the power of the spoken word of the truth will set you free. And the first thing we do is just write some very simple goals. So the question I would ask you, Tanya, and think about your audience here. What would you want to have change or be different?
For myself or for the audience in general?
Kind of both, I guess, if you can kind of combine it.
Yeah, because it would, I'm sure it overlaps. I know what just came to me. It's the sense, because a lot of our audience is women, that I feel like we're always running, we're always doing, we're trying to prove ourselves, and we get ourselves into the state of overwhelm. And I'd like to operate from more of a place where you're relaxed and you're attracting versus feeling overwhelmed with everything because you're just pushing. Because that's kind of a little bit of the patriarch of what has been taught to us of how the system's supposed to work. And I do believe that we need to infuse it with more feminine energy, which is the attraction, the pulling versus pushing, doing, going.
Right. So I operate from a relaxed place and attracting. What do you want to attract?
Oh, everything. Like what we're doing with the series. Abundance in everything. Abundance in money and relationships and health and wealth, just again, money and what other things. Yeah, I'd say those are the top principal things of abundance that I see: relationships, health, and wealth.
Health and wealth. Okay, so the first sentence that I wrote here is I operate from a relaxed place and attracting abundance in everything: health, relationships, and wealth.
Love it.
Right? So if you were doing that, how would that make you feel?
Oh, I feel relaxed. I feel like a weight off my shoulders already.
Good. Yay. Okay, I feel relaxed. What's another word besides relaxed? How else would you feel?
I feel excited. I feel vibrant. I feel vitality.
Excited, vibrant, and vital. Okay. So this is a very simple goal. Sometimes they're a lot longer, but let's just take these 2 sentences, right? And so I say, okay, well, you would feel vital and vibrant and excited, and you'd be in this relaxed place, being a more attracting rather than having to like push, right? So I put that energy or those words in a box on a paper, and I'm writing this really, really fast. It's funny. I used to teach handwriting, but now I don't write that way anymore. So you'd be more in this relaxed kind of flow place and attracting. Okay. So if you are seeing this on YouTube, it's just writing the sentences and there's the box. Okay. All right. And then I say, and this is an intuitive process, and I can teach people to do this. We ask, hey, who or what is pulling you away from that? What's blocking it? Like, what's in the way? And I muscle test everything. So if you're not familiar with muscle testing, it's called kinesiology. A lot of chiropractors use it, kinesiologists, natural health practitioners, coaches. And I muscle test really, really fast using my fingers. Okay, so I get yeses and nos, and I can test 1, 2, there's 1, 2, there's at least 2 strings blocking this. So let's clear 2 strings. So 2 strings just means, is this a male, a female, or a situation? There's a situation blocking this, operating from a relaxed place, attracting abundance that you want. Is this recent or old? It's old situation. Is it an old situation for Tanya? Yes. Is it something when you were a child? Yes. Oftentimes it's 0 through 10. Okay. So then we just say, okay, was it something age 0 through 5 or 5 through 10? 5 through 10. Is it 10, 11? No, it's 11. 10, I think it's 11. So it's something at age 11. So age 11, something with Tanya. So was this just Tanya, or is it with somebody else too? Somebody else too. Is this with mom, or is this with dad? So something with dad when you were 11. You may or may not remember anything. Just anything popping in?
Oh, no, I'm loving it, because as you were asking the questions, intuitively, I was answering them too. I was like, oh, let me see if Louise is going to hit the same ones. And I'm like, yes, it's absolutely. And I even know what it is, the general picture, and I could pinpoint to specific things. It's this limiting belief that I've been working on for many years. You know, anyone that's heard me speak on different podcasts or been part of my events or my classes, the limiting belief of you have to work hard to be successful, or you have to work hard to make money or to have abundance. You know, that's where we started with everything. And so, and you have to kind of sacrifice to the point of like maybe even your health, because you're working really hard to get that abundance. And so I've been learning, it's been decades now, Louise, it's getting easier and easier, like you were saying, you know, because I have all these other tools, and I catch myself when these things are happening of, no, you don't have to work so hard. You know, you can just put a post like this, you know, in your groups and say, hey, I'm doing a series on, you know, Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill. Anyone been influenced by it? And boom, people start coming like yourself, versus the previous Tanya would be more, oh my God, I have to work really hard with this. Then I start getting stressed out. Like, where am I going to find the right speaker, the right guest? And then it starts adding and compounding with it. So I'm sure there's still bits and pieces of that energy of the working hard. But yes, I can identify it. And it is with my dad, because that was the pride, you know, in the home. And that's part of our ancestry and our lineage, you know, the successful men. And I say men because they were the ones that worked, you know, the women tended to stay at home. They weren't career
You know what?
women.
We're going to clear this once and for all for you. So you've been working on this for years, and we just nailed it. So here's how this works. It is the power of the spoken word of the truth will set you free. So I have word lists in front of me. Okay. So here's what happened when you were 11. At age 11, we often assimilate, even younger, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, when we're younger, we assimilate our parents' energy. And sometimes we take on their stuff to help them feel better. Okay. We take their pain on and we don't even know we're taking it on. And it's a subconscious program that keeps running. And then, like you said, you're working on these limiting beliefs for years and years and years. But the brain soul connection can clear it for good. Okay.
Let's do it.
So we're going to do it. So mindset, I got mindset. So I'm looking at words, feeling doomed. So are these yours or they were your dad's?
I don't know if he'd use feeling doomed.
It's not words.
It's the sensation.
It's the feelings he was feeling. And
it's him. It's definitely him. And I've taken it on from him, and from his experience in life.
Yeah. And he could have come home from work having a bad day. In other words, it doesn't have to be this ongoing thing. It's like an incident. It's a situation. And if he was feeling bad, came home from work and you're 11 and, you go up and hug daddy and you want to play and he's got to eat dinner first or whatever's going on, you're taking that energy on.
Yep.
And it's not yours. And so we have to it's really just clearing it. So is it A or B? It's an A. Is it 1, 2, 3? It's in 3. Is it 1 and 3, 2 and 3? It's rejection. So I got feeling, doom, suffering, rejection, mindset. Is there something on this sheet? A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. That's in 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5, trapped. Oh, this is good. Okay. So is there another word? No. So here's how we clear it at the brain soul level. We say, was that a lie? 10:10 in the Bible, these words. They clear the soul and the brain. So
wait, Louise, 1 second, please. Could you repeat it? Because it cut out for me and I'm not sure if it cut out on my part or with your Wi-Fi. So you were asking some questions and then you said it cleared and it cut off.
Yeah. So here's what happens. The mindset, the feeling doom, the suffering, the rejection, the trapped. Okay. This hard working, have to sacrifice for hard work, energy. We say, was that a liar, a thief, or a fraud on your goal, your intention of feeling vital and relaxed and attracting what you want? And I got the word fraud. And so those 3 words, liar, thief, or fraud, now I'm going to name some other ones here, came from John 10:10 in the Bible. So we're literally clearing the brain and the soul. So we say, hey, if that's a fraud on you, what did it do? Did it kill, steal, or destroy? And I'm getting the word kill. And then we name the positive word, the reclaiming word. It killed your hope, your fulfillment. So we're getting back. It's like we're reclaiming hope, reclaiming fulfillment, and reclaiming prosperity and freedom. Is there another word? Yes.
No.
No,
I was going to say freedom for me. As soon as you said it, I've been carrying that since I was a baby. And that's all part of my purpose, my mission, my business, my work is helping others claim freedom, financial freedom, health freedom, everything freedom.
Oh, that's so cool. So cool. So see, and then I got the other words, vitality. So then I just ask, hey, do we clear that all the way? Yes. Is there something else I need to do? No. Do we need the clearing statement? There's a statement. This is called access consciousness. It's a body of work. I didn't make this up. Okay. So it's also kind of energy work that clears energy. And at the end of a string, sometimes I just kind of say this little statement. So we say, I destroy and uncreate any judgments, assumptions, projections, conclusions, decisions about the situation of whatever happened at age 11 for Tanya. We release this now, let it go, allow you to be free, right? To feel excited and vital and relaxed, to attract the abundance and health and relationships and wealth that you deserve and you desire. Good and bad, right and wrong, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. I often have people hit the bottom of their foot here, just it feels like it knocks it out. Doesn't matter which foot, take an open hand and just kind of whack your foot.
Doing it right now.
Good job. Okay. Good job, Tanya. And hopefully your audience felt this too. So I will get that feedback often when we do this. They're like, hey, I felt that. Hey, whatever you did, that was cool, Yeah.
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you. And anyone that's listening to this, please send us an email or let us know if this did something for you. This podcast and the people we interview here, the guests we have, is not for me. It's for everyone else. We get so many amazing benefits from it. So we'd love to hear any feedback of anyone else. I feel great. I so appreciate you offering this, Louise, and going through it. This has been
Yeah.
wonderful.
You know what? There's another string I want to do really quickly. I think it's your mom, and I think you were 16. So let's just see if I get a couple words here. A, B, 1, 2, 3. I get sort of rigidity or rigid, maybe. Rigid and ignored. So that's a thief on you. So it is stealing your BC 1, 2. Clarity, vision, intuition, enlightenment, and spirituality. And your trust. So we're just going to say good and bad, right and wrong, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. So we just cleared that string. So that's the releasing part of the brain system, like releasing the blocks. And then the numbers part that you will love is where we rewire the brain with these goals or intentions. And that is numbers. That's circles in the energy field, and they're called spin points. So instead of acupuncture points, they're spin points because they're done in the field. So this will just take a quick 2 minutes here. I'm just going to have you say these. Say, I operate from a relaxed place.
I operate from a relaxed place.
And I'm attracting abundance in everything.
And I'm attracting abundance in everything.
Health, relationships, and wealth.
Health, relationships, and wealth, and time. I will add to Louise.
Okay, and time. Oh, that's good. Very good. I've been saying that one myself lately. Say, I feel relaxed.
I feel relaxed.
And a weight is lifted off my shoulders.
And a weight's lifted off my shoulders. I feel it.
I feel excited, vibrant, and vital.
I feel excited, vibrant, and vital.
There we go. Awesome. Okay, so then that brings up stress. I muscle tested, and it brings up the stress because it hasn't been all the way integrated yet. We cleared blocks on it, but now we want to rewire that energy into your field so it's going to happen. Okay, and so these are codes, and you're just going to hear me say numbers. Okay, so I'm just going to go down your left leg, and I'm saying 2, 3, love, 5, 3, forgiveness, 6, 5, choice, 9, 2, freedom, 4, 2, greater love. Then we come down your front, 4, 2. I think I'll have you say these. Say, I have positive self-worth.
I have positive self-worth.
2, 2. Say, I choose to succeed.
I choose to succeed.
4, 4. I choose to live in joy.
I choose to live in joy.
And 6, 2. I choose to live by the higher laws.
I choose to live by the higher laws.
Excellent. 1, 4, 7 on your back side. I'm balancing the rings around the brain. Then we look at the X. 4, 5 is the code for the ring that goes sideways. 1, 4, 7 is the depth ring. It goes out like this. 9, 6 is the consciousness ring. 9, 6 is cranial. 8, 6 is hearing. 6, 8 is seeing. 3 to 9, 26 complete cycles. 5,859 times is the ring to all the rings. 2 to 8, 23 complete cycles. 2,623 times. 375, 377, 45, 86, 469, 467 is the breathing ring, releasing trauma. 10, 5, 7, 8, 2, 8, 7, 7, 5, and the shock 1, 2, 3, placing this with peace 5, 2. 5 to 11, 37 complete cycles, 87,357 times. 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7 balances all the chakras. So we just rewired you. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Your face changed. Did you watch that?
I am. Anyone that's watching here on YouTube, I can feel it. And for anyone that's listening, I'm coming off of a cold from these last, 10 days. And I've been fighting it pretty good with homeopathics and taking care and sleeping and stuff. But I honestly feel like a clearing right now, Louise. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. We're going to lock it in. So the way that we lock it in is we put our hands above our head and clasp them. So you could either do it this way or this way. And if I was physically with you, Tanya, I would pull your arms down in front of you and you would stay strong. Okay. We just call it a lock. Okay. Then we're going to cone our fingers on our right hand and make a circle in front of your heart and say 2, 2.
2, 2.
I choose to succeed.
I choose to succeed.
And tap your belly button 8 times. And that's like a lock. So it locks in those intentions. Now that body of work goes 7 generations back and 7 forward when we do a full integration, it's called. And a full integration is done with movement and the circles and the codes. This was like mini, like a little taste. Okay.
Got you.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, you're beaming. You're glowing. I'm so
This
excited.
It's awesome. If you're listening to this and you don't have access to YouTube because you're moving around or whatever, make sure to hop onto YouTube so that you can see some of these things and listen to the episode there or re-listen to it. That was fabulous, Louise. Thank you for doing that and offering that up. Before we wrap up, there's a couple more things that I wanted to share. I'm going to make a pause again to remind everyone of some goodies that are coming up. I want to invite you to something amazing. These past days at the Napoleon Hill Institute, we've been hosting the Prosperity Summit, which is based off of Napoleon Hill and Reverend Ike's teachings and how these have influenced incredible guest speakers' lives. We've had some amazing speakers, like stars from the movie The Secret, like Joe Vitale, Michael Beckwith. We had Mark Victor Hansen, who's the co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul book series. He joined us with his wife, Crystal. There have been so many incredible teachings and golden nuggets. Just make sure to catch it because it will be life transforming for you. The summit is going on until December 1st at 12 p.m. Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific. If you'd like to get access, all you have to do is get registered with the link in the show notes so that you can listen to the recordings. Just remember, don't procrastinate because they're only available for a limited time. I can't wait to see you there and see what your thoughts are. And so, yes, we're at the end of our interview, and I just wanted to ask you, you were mentioning about goal writing before. Do you write your goals daily?
No, I don't write
Or how
them daily.
often?
Although, like what we just did with you is a goal. Okay. I walk the goal down using NLP questions. So I write goals at least weekly. Sometimes
great.
I'll write a new one every day, but generally, and then I do like a big deep dive, about quarterly.
That's awesome. I think it's so important. And I ask you because there are statistics out there that say that I think it's 97% of the population do not write down their goals. Of the 3% of people that do have goals, they've just thought of the goals, but they never wrote them down, or they wrote them down at one point. And there's only 1% of the remainder 3% that write them down and read them daily. So
Yes.
it's wonderful to hear this, Louise, because I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, goal setting. They abandon this whole idea of goals because they don't really write them. They might write it at the beginning of the year. It's January 1st. Oh my God, let me write my goals for the year. And then they just forget about them.
Yes.
So I think it's so important. Thank you for sharing that about goal writing of what you do. We do this at the Napoleon Hill Institute. We write our goals in our daily study. We do a daily study of his material, and every morning we write down the goals during our daily study.
That's beautiful. That's really
Yeah.
beautiful. And you know what? Teach your kids. So, when I couldn't find a good church to go to, we lived in Taos for 7 years when I was healing from all those, heavy metals in my body. And we couldn't find anyway, what ended up happening was I had church in my house. Okay. So I'd get my family up, just my kids, my husband at the time, and we would write goals, and we would have like a little church meeting. And I taught them how to write cards, just index cards of a health goal, a school goal, a personal goal, a spiritual goal. And so they've been writing cards for years. Okay. Now my kids are now in their 30s. This is when they were 5 and 8. Okay. And so they would write goals. And I still remember Andy asking his dad, he goes, what do I do with all those old cards? I've got this stack of cards. He was cleaning out his room. And I would have said to put them into one of those old photo albums that have the stickies on them so you could see your growth, right? So I have saved some of mine, and I can definitely see my growth when you look back. Another way to do it is to put it on index cards that are in those little flip books and date it so you can look back.
I love it. It's so important. And thanks for that tip. Having a 10-year-old, I think this type of work, and I'm already planting those seeds with her, is so important at this age. I'm sure we will have to do another podcast, Louise, because our time is running out. But I wanted to, I'm sure you have a ton of stories, even with your kids, the fact that you've taught them these things and how that's influenced them. And it's just amazing that you're passing this work down, even if it started with your dad with the book, and he had a good intention and he applied some of the principles. And like you said at the beginning, even if he had the poverty mindset, you've already taken it, being the next generation, to a much higher level. And I can only imagine what your kids will be doing, because it keeps getting better generation to generation, if we are aware and we can teach the following generations. And I want to commend you for that, because it takes a certain type of personality and a positive mental attitude to want to teach these things, not just to the world, but to our lineage, like the
our
next
lineage,
generation.
absolutely. Yeah. And when I think about the people that I've worked with who have put so much money into business coaching and they have not succeeded, it's really because, so Bonnie, $50,000, she came to me, she goes, I just put $50,000 with business coaches. I'm so scared that, I'm not gonna be able to really do what I want in my business. And it wasn't until we cleared the generational blocks and I got her brain better. Within 4 months, she had clients, she had a retreat, she was making money. So you don't have to hold on to those patterns. And then remember, it's the inner work. It's this brain soul deeper work that actually clears the energy and allows you to have the success that you want. So it's that inner work. It's the goal setting and all that you're doing with Napoleon Hill Institute and other programs. So whatever resonates for people, take those action steps,
That is awesome. Thank you so much, Louise. As we're wrapping up, where can people find you?
My website right now is louiseswartswalter.com. We are doing a new one. I'm so excited about this. It'll be Brain Soul Success soon. So you can find me there. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. Just started TikTok. You'll see a few things there.
We'll have all these in the show notes. And didn't you have also a brain assessment of some sort?
I have a wonderful, so, if this is resonating with you and you're stuck and you have some blocks that you want to clear, we have a brain soul assessment and it's on my website. So just click on that. It's a few questions. So you'll answer questions. It'll just take 3 minutes. And then you can have a conversation with myself or a team coach to find out where you're blocked and what you need.
Thank you, Louise. And my last question before we finish it up, what's one way that our listeners can live a life with more courage?
Get a positive mental mindset. Work on that.
Positive mental attitude. That's it. That's so important. Thank you. Thank you so much, Louise, for being with us and sharing your wisdom and your techniques and everything, all these tips. This has been fascinating. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You are so welcome, Tanya. I love what you're doing. And I love the courage to be. That's so powerful. Powerful. Yes.
Thank you. Have a great day. I am so grateful that you joined me today. If you enjoyed it, there's one thing I'd like you to do. Click on the follow button so you don't miss a single episode. Leave me a rating and a review, and please share. As my way to thank you, email us a screen grab of your review at the email in the show notes, and we will send you a free Crafting Your Future guided visualization, which is so simple to do with outstanding results. It will empower you and give you the confidence to attract and create the life you've always desired. See you in our next episode.